What's up guys, Delzinski here, and what I want to talk about today on the Lowdown is a topic which has been on my mind for over about a week now. Also as well, which kind of fits in nicely, is WWE also posted an article on a similar subject. Now that subject just happens to be the monster, the Big Red Machine, Kane. And WWE on their website, WWE.com, posted the article that stated the many faces of Kane. Now, I don't as such want to talk about the many faces of Kane, but what I do want to talk about is, do we really think as fans of the WWE, have they really promoted Kane to live up to his potential of being the Undertaker's brother? And what I mean by that is, when you look at the Undertaker's career, and look how massive it is, and look at like the streak and what the Undertaker has achieved at WrestleMania, in comparison, when you look at Kane's career, it's nothing compared to the dead man. But should it be that way? Should Kane have been treated in the way that he has? Because if we cast our minds back to Kane's debut at Bad Blood, when he interrupted Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, ripped the Hell in a Cell door off, entered the ring and tombstoned his brother. That version of Kane feels a lifetime away now compared to what we've got now, because if we, press the fast forward button right up to date, we now have a version of Kane called Corporate Kane. Now in between that, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. So as I said, Kane came into the WWE with huge potential, and at that time, being the Big Red Monster that took out his brother at Bad Blood really worked nicely. And over the years, if they had stuck with that very same persona, Kane could have been just as big as the Phenom himself, because he really was a monster and a machine. He didn't have to talk on the mic. He just came in the ring, did his business, and he had that mystery, that mysteriousness, just like the dead man did when he debuted in the WWE. He had the powers, with the fire coming out of the ring posts. It all worked. It had the mystery, just the same as his brother. But over the years, that persona has declined massively. Now, it didn't so much happen when Kane lost his mask, because he was still a badass. Don't get me wrong, when Kane first lost his mask and went into the laughing persona, when he was pretty much having that evil laugh and he had the towel over his head, and I remember some of the promos that he was cutting back then were actually epic. So Kane still had that feel of being the Big Red Monster and the Machine, and he was doing that still. He was still taking out guys and kicking ass and taking names. So losing the mask wasn't the problem. But then, when WWE didn't have anything for Kane, as opposed to doing what they do with the Phenom, whereas they give him a break, and then they bring him back, and they still bring him back at the billing level of a top performer, when they would run out of ideas for Kane, they'd bring him back at a mid-card level and give him some sort of poor gimmick, or put him in some sort of, I don't know, something that made the Big Red Machine become the Big Red Laughingstock. And I feel that that's where they've gone wrong with Kane over the years, because he did become a bit of a laughing stock. I think it was around the time he was paired up with RVD, which I don't really like when you pair up a machine like Kane with someone like RVD. The guy is supposed to be a loner, and the only person that he's ever going to team up with is his brother, because the mystery and the fact that he's supposed to be, a demon, just like his brother is, from the gates of hell. All of that is lost if he starts being buddies with the likes of Daniel Bryan, Rob Van Dam. Those sort of things sort of ruin Kane. Now, then they tried to revamp the Big Red Monster after his gimmick had got pretty stale. And they did that by bringing him back to face John Cena. And the idea behind it was to pretty much have the Big Red Machine make John Cena embrace the hate. Now, again, when Kane did come back at this point with his brand new mask, and that mask did look scary as hell when he first came back, it was all working great. But after John Cena was done with Kane, which was frustrating, Kane should have clearly gone over at that point, all of that gimmick was lost. John Cena ruined that version of Kane, because that Kane was a monster. He should have destroyed John Cena, but he wasn't allowed to. And after that, he then went into what I like to think as, PG-ified Kane again. And he was paired up with Daniel Bryan, and those sort of, anger management sketches were funny, but they're not for a Big Red Machine. And again, the gimmick and the idea of him being a monster was once again lost. So what did they do? Again, they had to revamp him to what he is now, Corporate Kane. And that is miles away from, as I say, the Big Red Monster that we very first saw. If you compare the two careers, The Undertaker just goes from strength to strength. Even when he went away, he came back as the American Badass. Still a massive, massive, a monster in itself, because he always was top of the billing. Whenever Kane came back, it was for a couple of weeks he'd be at the top, and then all of a sudden dropped to mid-card. That is what devalued the Big Red Monster. And that is the talking point that I want you guys to discuss. Do you think over the years that Kane has really been utilised to his maximum potential? Because I don't. I think that they could have built Kane just as well as The Undertaker. We could have had two monsters and two, technically talking, phenoms of the WWE. We could have the Brother from Hell, and then we could have the Devil's Best Friend. But we don't have that, and what we do have is that everyone will always value The Undertaker a lot more than they will ever value Kane. And I think that's a little bit disappointing, and I'm sure Kane probably finds that disappointing when he is brought back in certain scenarios. Now, who knows, Corporate Kane could very well be best for business, but I think it's miles away from the version of Kane that I once enjoyed. The one that just kicked ass, took names, and put people in caskets and buried them alive, and just, quite frankly, took them to hell. So guys, that's the topic that I want you guys to discuss. What do you think of Corporate Kane? What version of Kane did you enjoy? And do you think that really Kane has been utilised to his maximum potential over his 16 years, that's right, 16-year career in the WWE? So guys, let me know via the comments box below what you think, and as per usual, please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski, signing out.